Hello everyone, I'm David Jones, your training manager at Poolside Tech. Today we're going to guide you through the simple and easy steps to program and install the Attendant automation system. A unique capability of the Attendant is that it will work with almost any pool with any equipment. Let's take a look at what we're working with today. As you can see, we have a pool spa combo with the spa spilling over into the pool. There are 3 water features. We have scuppers, bubblers, and a rain curtain. We also have lots of lighting on this project, both in terms of pool lights as well as strip accent lights. Now let's head back to the equipment pad and see what we have back there. This particular pool is a great example of how the Attendant is able to control equipment from multiple brands. Today we'll be connecting 3 Pentair IntelliFlow 3 variable speed pumps, a Jandy JXI heater, 3 valve actuators, a spa blower, a number of Powell Lighting DMX light drivers, and finally some landscape lights. Alright, before we get started, let's take a look at the Attendant as you will receive it. In the box you will find the Attendant unit. Let's remove it and take a look at the different mounting options. As you can see, the mounting bracket on the Attendant can be moved into the horizontal or vertical mounting positions to fit many installation scenarios. On the bottom of the unit, you'll find a number of half-inch knockout holes that are used to make electrical connections into the system. Now, let's go ahead and move over to the equipment pad where we're going to mount and install the Attendant. To begin our install, we will mount the Attendant in a spot where it will be easy for us to connect low voltage data cables from our equipment as well as high voltage wiring to the relays. Let's remove the bottom cover and work on connecting our equipment. Inside the Attendant, you will find a high voltage compartment where we can have up to 8 relays, and a low voltage compartment where we will hook up our data cables. Let's begin by connecting power to the Attendant. From the factory, Attendants ship pre-wired for 120 volt AC power supply. You can consult the wiring diagrams on the safety label should you need to convert the Attendant for 240 volt input. Please remember to consult your local electrical code for this part. Next, we will connect the other high voltage devices. Let's get our blower and landscape lights attached to the relays. If you have older color pool lights where colors and shows are switched by cycling the lights on and off, you will need to connect your lighting transformers to a relay as well. On this pool, we have modern pool lighting with digital controls using DMX. Let's go ahead and connect the lighting driver to one of our 4 digital data bus ports. Let's connect our pumps next. Variable speed pumps are connected to data bus ports in the Attendant. We will use a 2-conductor wire to connect D+ and D- on the pump to the data bus port on the Attendant. With variable speed pumps, you can put multiple pumps on a single bus port. In order to allow the Attendant to be able to communicate with multiple pumps on a single bus port, we will assign each pump a unique address. This process is manufacturer specific, so please consult the Poolside knowledge base for details specific to your device. Now that we have our pumps connected, let's move on to the heater. On this pad, we have a Jandy JXI heater. This heater supports digital communication to the Attendant that allows the system to operate the unit and give live diagnostic information. Let's connect the heater to one of the open bus ports. If you have a heater, heat pump, or chiller that does not support digital communication, you can use one of the 5 available heater ports on the Attendant to operate standard 24 volt dry contact devices. Next, we will connect our salt system. We have a Pentair IntelliFlow system on this pool, but most other salt systems will connect to the Attendant in a similar way. Let's get the communication cable connected to one of the open bus ports. We are now ready to connect our valve actuators. Let's plug them into one of the 5 actuator ports. Finally, we're ready to connect our temperature sensors. On this pool, we will use one sensor to monitor ambient air temperature and one to measure water temperature. Please be sure to hide your ambient air temperature sensor such that it never sees direct sunlight. That's it, we're done with our wiring. Now we can get started programming the system. Before we begin programming, let's download the Poolside Attendant app and register an account. Our next step is to get the Attendant connected to home Wi-Fi. If wired Ethernet is your preference, we have an RJ45 connector available under the top cover. Once your Attendant connects to the internet, you will see a 6-digit registration code on the screen. We can now use this code to associate the panel with our account. Let's register the system in the app and provide some basic information about the installation location. Okay, we are now ready to start the installation interview. Let's answer some questions. We have a pool and spa combo. Our pool contains 15,000 gallons of water, while the spa is right around 700 gallons. Because the spa shares its equipment with the pool and we route water using actuators, let's answer yes to the next question. Now we can specify the equipment brand for this pool. On this project, we have a mixture of various brands, so let's select Other. If you're doing an installation where everything connected to the Attendant comes from a single brand, you can pick that brand in this dropdown. Next, we can configure our primary filter pump. We are connecting a Pentair IntelliFlow 3 VSF. Press Select to go into the pump configuration screen. We can now populate information into all fields highlighted in red. Let's start with selecting the Pentair brand, IntelliFlow 3 model 011075, and the bus port we connected it to, in this case bus 1. The pump was configured to have address 1. Quick side note, if you want to get detailed information about assigning addresses or how a particular device should be connected to the Attendant, please tap on the Connecting and Troubleshooting link on this page. Let's press Save in the top right corner and continue the interview. Since we have a heater installed, we can configure it next. Our heater uses natural gas. Let's press the Select button and populate its details. Select the Jandy brand and JXI 400N model. Our heater connects to bus port number 4 and has a default address of 1. Since we're using a Pentair IntelliChlor salt chlorine generator, let's answer yes to the next question and tell the system where it's connected. Just like before, select the Pentair brand and then the salt cell type that you are using. Let's also specify that we wired the IntelliChlor to bus port number 2. In this pool, we don't have a pH or ORP probe, so we can answer no to the next 2 questions. Now we can tell the system about our lights. In this case, we're using PAL Lighting DMX drivers. Our lighting drivers are connected to bus port number 3. In DMX lighting, each color channel in every zone receives its own address. In this case, we will program pool lights with channel addresses 1, 2, and 3. As this pool has no auto cover, so let's answer no to this question. We can now set up our first water feature. This particular pool has scuppers and a rain curtain operated by a dedicated pump. Let's set up the scuppers first. We will go back to add the rain curtain once we're done with the basic configuration. Select the Operated with a Separate Pump option. We can tell the Attendant that our water feature is a fountain type by selecting Laminar Fountain in the dropdown. Now we can move on to set up our water feature pump. We are using another Pentair IntelliFlow 3 11075 pump. This one is connected to bus port 1 like the main filter pump, but we assigned address 2 to it. We don't have any pressure side cleaners or robots to configure, so we can move on to the spa lights. Our lights are configured as the second zone of the PAL DMX driver. Let's pick PAL as the brand and select bus port 3, which is where the driver is connected. We can now change addresses for the red, green, and blue channels to be 4, 5, and 6. Finally, let's tell the system about our spa blower. We have it connected to relay number 1. If we press next, we are taken to a summary screen that shows us our entire wiring layout. This is a great way to double check everything that we connected. Note that some devices like our suction actuator, return actuator, and temperature sensors were automatically added for us by the interview. You can of course modify where these are connected later when we enter the installer mode. Let's press finish and move into the installer mode. As you can see, the interview process created a large part of our pool configuration. If you click onto the flow tab, you will see that our pool spa combo is configured and we have our main pool filter flow and water features flow. Speaking of flows, let's quickly cover this key concept. The Attendant is a unique system that understands your pool from a hydraulic perspective. Flows in the Attendant describe the way water can be routed by each pump on your pool pad. Let's swipe left to move to our water feature flow. This flow will need to be modified to add our rain currents. Let's press the Edit button and add a three-way actuator that will route water to the rain curtain. We will press the plus key below the pump and pick Actuator 3 from the list of new devices. This actuator is connected to valve port number 3. Now let's add the water feature. Press the plus key to the right of the actuator, scroll down to New Water Features, and pick Waterfall. The last thing we need to do is complete this flow is to tell the system where the rain curtains return water to, in this case the pool. Press the plus key below the waterfall and select the pool body of water. Before we finish, let's configure our third pump. This pump is dedicated to providing more power to the spa jets. Press Add Flow and start by providing the details about this pump. It's a Pentair IntelliFlow 3 pump, and this one is on bus port 2 with the address of 3. We are now going to tell the system where the pump takes and returns its water. Let's touch the plus key above the pump and specify the water is coming from the spa. This pump runs water through the spa jet's water feature. Press the plus key below the pump, scroll down to the water feature, and select the existing water feature called Spa Jets. We're picking this existing water feature because this water feature is shared with the spa jet and the primary pump we added in the previous step. Naturally, you will want to set up your pool as per your specific plumbing layout. The last step is to tell the system where the water returns to. In this case, we will be returning the water to the spa. Let's give this flow a name, Spa Jets Flow, and press Apply. Our configuration is almost done and we can now press Save. We can move on to testing all of our devices. Let's switch to the Device tab and test each device. We'll start by turning on each pump. As the pump starts to run, you'll see watts and RPMs reported in the app. Next, we could turn on our heater and verify it operates correctly. Let's check that our water and air temperature sensors show correct values. Turn on each light zone and make sure that everything is operating as expected. Lastly, let's make sure our actuators work as expected. Let's press the pull button on the suction actuator and observe that the actuator moves to the position where water is taken from the pool. You may have to use 3-position switch on your actuator to reverse its position if the water was taken from the spa. Repeat this process for the return actuator. And now we're done. We can exit installer mode and enjoy our pool. Thank you for your time. If you have any further questions, please visit the knowledge base at Poolside.Support.